Alright guys, what we're going to work on today is this bicycle. Now this here is a Kuahara Apollo frame, nice steel frame. I love old mountain bikes, old steel mountain bikes. I bought this thing as a frame for 20 bucks. I threw a whole bunch of parts that I had in my parts bin. It was just a frame. So I found a bottom bracket in my bin, the wheels, the brakes. This Brooks B17 saddle I actually found at an antique shop. And they thought it was an antique. And I was like, great, how much do they want for this thing? It was $12, 12 Canadian pesos, so that's like 8 bucks American or something. So that was a hot deal. And I've got some needle bars on there right now, but I want to convert this to a drop bar. Found on local classified ads, one of these cowbells. This is the Cowbell 3, the salsa cowbell. It should be a nice, comfortable one. I like it because the ramps, the hoods aren't very long, so it should keep me fairly tight. But I love a drop bar. And since I wasn't able to get the drop bar to work on my Karate Monkey, I'm gonna see if I can get this thing set up as a drop bar. So I also picked up a Velo Orange Nice stem, and I think this should give me a pretty decent height for it. I've got a whole bunch of other stems and adapters and all kinds of stuff. What I'm gonna do for shifters is bar end shifters, and I had a set. So this is for your 3-speed side, and I was missing the little ratcheting mechanism, this part here. I think I put it onto a different bike that was like a 1-by drivetrain, and I used a Paul Thumbie for it, so I was missing the little part right here. But I ended up finding some old down tube shifters in my parts bin, some Shimano's, and I was actually able just to modify this. So this is going to be a bit of Frankenstein. The rear derailleur is going to be actuated by this. Hopefully it works. It's got the friction on it, so it should work. I think it's 7 speeds at the back right now. And then I might just keep this one for the 3-speed side for the front derailleur, but I might also take this off and put this on here so at least they would match. I don't know, it's gonna be a bit of a rat bike. This is certainly a rat bike, but it's a really nice riding rat bike. I'll show you the bike real quick, kind of how it's set up right now, and then we'll get into this conversion. All right, so here it is. And you see we've got the Apollo head badge on there, Kuahara. I think this is, I don't know, it's about a 25-inch frame or something. I picked up some tires. These are just Bontrager's, what do they call these? The H2s, 26x2. And that's actually a really great tire. I'm really impressed with the way this looks. Kind of a shame to lose these really nice Nito handlebars. Those are pretty sweet. Got the Ori grips, and again, this was all just stuff that I had laying around. The brakes here, I really like these Onyx. They're Tektro Onyx or whatever they're called. But the cables that I had obviously were really small. This is fantastically dangerous, especially up front. So I found some longer straddle cables, and I'm gonna ditch this whole setup here. Right now, this is the main brake cable, kind of goes into this Y and comes out this way. But then this one is a single piece, like it's a fixed distance, so that's why I'm so close to the tire there. And we've got the same problem at the front. Now I was wanting to order like all new cables and stuff, but with this whole COVID stuff, so many of the bike shops are still like one customer at a time, and you drive by them and there's like 15 people in line, and I'm not gonna wait. I think I have enough old cables housing everything in my parts bins that I'll be able to make this work. So it's gonna be a real Frankenstein bike, but even as it is now, I mean, it's a pretty sweet bike, but this hand position, you're pretty much limited to just this. I mean, this isn't overly comfortable. There's not enough room right in here. And I thought if I can get some drop bars on here, it adds a lot more hand positions, and then I can start using this for more highway rides. I've got the old Karate Monkey over there, and love that bike, but it's great for gravel grinding and stuff. And I thought this would be really nice for when I head out on the highway, my morning rides. Sometimes I'm getting into like exercise rides lately, so typically I just ride bikes for fun, but it's kind of nice to get up early in the morning when it's nice and cool and just crank out a couple, 20 kilometers or something like that. So this is gonna be fun. So before we get too into this, I just want to see what this is gonna feel like with the drop bar. So before I disconnect anything, we're just gonna drop this stem. I'll put a piece of black tape around here so I can set it back to the exact height. But let's just set this aside for a moment. I picked up this stem adapter from Velo Orange. And the nice thing with this one is it's not flared on the top, so you don't need the top cap on here. So this will actually allow me to use these nice bars, or is that what they call them? A happy stem, I think they're called. So that'll just slide right on there nicely. Okay, taking the bolt in here, because normally this will go through for your threadless setup, but I just took it out of there. I'm just going to be relying on the clamping force to hold this on. roughly lined up. It may look a little bit goofy, but I think it's gonna be good. The nice thing with the threadless conversion is I've got so many different stems I can swap out and see what I like. Ooh, that feels good. That's a nice upright position. Get down the drops if I want. I think that's gonna be sweet. I really like how short this, I don't know what you call that part, but that is nice and short. So with my brakes right there, I think this is gonna be fantastic. Oh yeah, we're about a little bit lower than the saddle, but we can always raise that up and down. I think it's gonna be good. Take this off for now, and then we'll start disconnecting everything. Trusty bike stand out. This would be a lot easier if this was on the bike. Yeah, we're gonna put it back on the bike. Okay. I don't know if I've got enough brake cable. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have enough. These, again, parts that I had. The one nice thing is that I can always get brake cables from Canadian Tire. These here are called Nip-X. These things are amazing. I use them all over the shop, and especially for working on bikes, so handy. Incredible tool. If you own a pair of these, you will never ever consider using crescent wrenches again. Well, maybe you will, but you shouldn't. I think we can reuse this shift cable. I'm just gonna save these shifters. Probably put these on my daughter's bike because she's got those thumb ones, like the real cheap ones, and man, they do not work very well. These ones are actually in pretty nice shape and they're nice and smooth. Okay, I think that undoes what we need undone. All right, so now we'll pop this out again. Put in our new one. She's got that nice Velo orange marking on there. Doesn't really matter, but I want to keep that in line with the tire. I had also purchased a Signa stem, or I don't know how they pronounce it, but I found it was just way too high for what I want. So I'll just save that in the parts bin for another project bike. We'll tweak this a little bit after, but I'll just kind of get it close for now. Oh, we got fire alarms going off in the house. My kid's cooking supper, so maybe that has something to do with it. We will be adjusting this after. It's definitely best to set up hoods on the ground when you can kind of sit on it and see what feels good, but I'm just gonna go close enough, and that way we can get our cables ran and then adjust it after. We're just gonna leave that for now. Now let's put in our bar end shifters. So what we're gonna need to do is actually take this mechanism off of here. I believe that's what you have to do in order to get these things installed. A little nut out the back. Keep all these pieces together. If you've never seen the way these work, you basically take the mechanism out, put it into the end of your bars, and then it's actually, you screw this in and it flares this out and locks itself into the bars. We can adjust this after if we need to, but obviously it'd be best if we can get really close right now. Put our T-slot in there. Tighten this thing up. yeah, this is Bush League. I love it. Sweet. I think I'm gonna need longer shift cable housing because that's not quite, well, actually might be all right. All right, so we're gonna tape this down. Right underneath there. About there. That should be good. So I think what I'm gonna do is instead of using this original one, I'm gonna take this off. That way they'll match. Won't look quite as rat bikey. So essentially I'm gonna take that. Whoa. Little dust cover it looks like. Cool. I'll set that there. Pull this out. I'll actually need to install this on the bike and then we'll put that on. Get this lined up and then tighten it in. Put in this little screw. Put in this little plate thing. I think I want that stopped down. Might have to make a little adjustment, but nope, that's perfect. I'm so surprised these work, and I actually checked too. The one thing I was concerned about was whether the cable routing was the same, but it's nice that, you know, I mean, Shimano's standardized this stuff. I don't know what these levers are from, but even the spacing of the cable routing, it's the same as the proper bar end shifters that I had. So it's kind of cool to see that compatibility throughout the years. Sweet. I think before I go too much further, I'm actually gonna throw the cable in there and just make sure that it does indeed shift properly. I'm pretty sure it will. I'd be shocked if it didn't, but just want to make sure that everything I'm putting in here is going to be compatible. See, it's got this little recess that it sits in. Get this little twisty-do. Well, it's working. Check out these little details on those steel bikes. Isn't that a nice little piece of cable hanger there? They just don't do things like that on bikes anymore. We're almost there. I'm glad we could completely reuse these cables. That makes it very convenient. Okay, now let's see if we can use the index. Shifting. Nope. I think we're stuck with the friction, which is actually how I prefer it. I had my long haul trucker, it had bar end shifters, and I left it with the friction. Well, I think while we're at the back of the bike, we might as well hook up our brake cable. Luckily, I've got one full-length cable. Now with these generic cables, one end has that ball on it for road levers, and then one has that for regular like flat bar levers. And so you just pick which side you want to use, cut the other one off. And I am very lucky that I have this. Oh, it's not long enough. It's meant for a, shoot. It's totally meant for a Yeah, that's not gonna work. This is a front one. Let me dig in the parts bin and see if I can find something. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just hook up the shifter for the front derailleur and then hook up the front brake. And if I can't find a cable, I could just go to town and buy one, but I'm making good progress and I don't wanna stop to start looking for parts. Tape this in place. I'll tweak this a bit when it's on the ground so I can see exactly where I want that cable to lie. But for now, I just want to figure out where to cut this cable. So this will do for that. A little bit extra. All right, so here's a straddle cable. Okay, well I think what we're ready to do now is take it for a quick little test ride just to see if we like this whole setup or not.